Well, hello there, you wonderful people, and welcome back to the channel. Good to see you. Good to see you. Didn't expect to be doing one today, but I figured I better because the next few days and the weekend are going to be pretty crazy. I've got a Amber Diceless RPG game going this weekend. Nerd, I know. Fly my flag proudly, brother. Um, but I something came up yesterday that I really wanted to share with you guys and get your take on it. So here we go. Um, James Gunn, the guy who is responsible for Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, Volumes 1, Volumes 2, and upcoming Volume 3, which is one of the few Marvel things I'm actually looking forward to. Um, jumped ship and went to DC Comics, where he was put in charge of the DC. He and another fella whose name eludes me were put in charge of the DC comic book. Well, actually, basically, not the comic book, the DC multimedia universe, movies, TV shows, computer games, animation stuff. All of that is under their auspice now. So James Gunn popped up yesterday. Um, and made an announcement about kind of what is on the horizon for DC multimedia and had some interesting things pop up. I want to tell you, I'm still kind of in the same. I mean, I'm sorry to sound like this because I know I sound like an old fucking man. Well, I am. I'm an old fucking man. But gosh, I hope it's 30 seconds because I already cussed. Oh well. Um, I do not trust James Gunn at this point. Um, I think my days of brand loyalty are far behind me. Um, I've loved D&D since I was a kid. I mean, I started playing before I was a teenager. Yes, we had writing back then and dice. Um, I've loved comic books. Comic books are how I learned to read. I remember my mother reading me comic books as a kid. I collected comic books like crazy. I'm very invested in these characters and the comic book mythology. I believe that it is the closest thing we have to modern mythology. We don't treat it as good as some cultures do, but here it is. So I I'm wary of James Gunn because he's a Hollywood guy, and he is clearly got an agenda. Um, when he was talking about just kicking everybody out the door and starting fresh with DC. Apparently, that didn't include a lot of folks, including scumbag, in my opinion, Ezra Miller, grooming, multiple felony Ezra Miller. So apparently, old Ezra is still going to be playing the Flash. That ought to be a hoot. Um, of course, nothing is, just because someone says something is a certain way in Hollywood doesn't mean it's going to be that way. But anyways, James Gunn came out, announced a slate of stuff for DC. I wanted to share it with you and give you my take on it. And I'd love to hear your take in the comments. Please let me know what you think about James Gunn, what you think about these projects, and just in general, are you looking forward to this stuff or are you not? Because I'll be honest, it's a mixed bag. There's some stuff I am definitely looking forward to. But again, and I hate to be this way, but it's like they have screwed up so many things that I thought it's impossible to screw up, that they managed to do it, that I can't get too excited about any of these because I'm afraid I'm going to get all yeehaw and excited, and then it's just going to be garbage. So that being said, first thing out of the gate is an animated adult series called Creature Commandos, which is an old DC war comic. I believe it started up in the 70s, if I'm not mistaken. And I am not a huge expert on Creature Commandos, but I remember reading some of the comics and digging them. It's basically like Suicide Squad, but instead of being supervillains, it's monsters. And so that sounds interesting. Gunn is doing that himself, so it's going to be an oh so random humor. Guardians of the Galaxy, Suicide Squad, which, by the way, he did the second Suicide Squad, not Suicide Squad, the Suicide Squad. Keep that straight. He did the second Suicide Squad movie, which I really loved too. So, I mean, look, James Gunn seems to have a heart in this. And when he was doing the announcement and he was talking about these things, he seemed genuinely kind of bubbly, geeky, excited about it, which does my heart good, because one of the big problems I think we have is we have a lot of people who are not fans, who are not of our tribe, who have been put in charge of our stuff, like Star Trek, like Star Wars, like Doctor Who, and they've made a mess of it. And this is all my opinion, guys. You can be like, I love Star Trek. You're an idiot, old man. And I'll be like, good on you. I'm glad you enjoy it. I can't stand it. Can't stand the new Trek. Hated the last few years of Doctor Who, not because of Jodie Whittaker, not because she's a woman, because that is some of the most garbage writing I have ever seen. It was just bad. The stories were bad. The monsters weren't interesting or cool. And they shredded 60 plus years of Doctor Who mythology to make their little show, to make their little, I don't know what the hell they were trying to do. I think they were trying to make a statement about colonization or some shit like that. But all I know is they fucked up Doctor Who. That's what I know. So James Gunn seems to be sincere in his enthusiasm. We will see. We will see. It's easy to say shit. It's much harder to follow through with what you say. So I'm hoping he does. I hope that he is just gung-ho, and he talked about being a caretaker of these characters and how much they mean to him. I hope he means that. I really do. It would be refreshing. All right, so Creature Commandos, animated show, written by Gunn. He was talking about the animated projects they have, that if they have characters who are in the animated projects that roll over into the live action universe, that they'll be voiced by the same actor that's playing them live action, which I don't know. Some voice actors don't look like, leading men. Seth MacFarlane is a decent actor. He's okay. He's a good comedian, and he's a decent actor. Serviceable. He's a serviceable actor. But he's really a voice actor. But that was kind of more his thing for a long time. I know he's had parts on, like, I think he was on like Voyager. I think he did or maybe Enterprise. I think he did a episode of Enterprise way back in the day. But what I'm saying is basically it's kind of a neat idea to have the same people voicing them, but we'll see how that works in practical application. After Creature Commandos, we have an Amanda Waller live action show. I love the character of Amanda Waller. She is a fascinating character. She's a great foil for kind of traditional superheroes. I love in the animated Justice League show, when they had Waller come into that, she was this amazing foil for Batman. And she's a great character. And Viola Davis does a great job of playing her. I don't know how interesting a Amanda Waller show is going to be. They're going to marry it to Team Peacekeeper, John Cena. John Cena, that guy, and his show, which a lot of people enjoyed. I had no interest in, and I'll be honest, part of the reason I had no interest in it, this is going to sound so stupid, but it's true, is because how his character was portrayed in the Suicide Squad, where he was introduced in the Suicide Squad movie. He pissed me off. So I didn't want to really see a show where they made him the hero. At some point I should probably give it a shot. A lot of people enjoyed it. So, hey, maybe it's good. It also pisses me off a little bit that is a James Gunn joint. That's one of his projects. So of course it has been spared the chopping block Mr. Everything has to go. We have to do a clean sweep and start over, except for um, Psycho Flash. I just said his name and it's completely out of my head. See, old guy. I think Jason Momoa, almost said Jason Mimosa. Um, I think he's getting to stick around as Aquaman. Why? Why? Henry Cavill out the door. Uh, Gal Gadot out the door. Um, I don't like people who play favorites, and again, Hollywood. So, oh, did I mention that his wife is one of the actresses in the Peacemaker show? Huh, I'm sure it had nothing to do with it at all. Just a wacky coincidence. Hmm. Anyways, um, Amanda Waller show. We'll see. Unless there's more to it than that, I don't really have any enthusiasm for that whatsoever. Next up is a live action Superman movie, Superman Legacy, that James Gunn is penning. No idea who's directing it. I don't know if he's going to direct it or not. I wouldn't be surprised if he did. And he broomed Henry Cavill out the door because he said he wanted to do a younger Superman at the beginning of his career. Again, Smallsville. Was it Smallville? Um, what other? We had like two or three young Superman shows, and I just I understand. I understand that they're wanting to like reboot, but this is like kind of a reboot, but not exactly. Like they're still going to roll out the Flash movie. Um, it's really bothering me. I can't remember Ezra Miller. Thank you. I heard you in the back there. Thank you, Ezra Miller. Um, it kind of bugs me. They're still doing the Flash movie with Ezra Miller. They've broomed all the ideas for using Michael Keaton's old Batman. That's gone. The cameos with Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman and Henry Cavill's Superman are gone. Um, then we've got the Flash movie. We have the Aquaman 2 movie, which at this point, let's be honest, folks, it maybe it'll make a lot of money. I don't know. Maybe normies will run to it like they did the first one. Look, it's got Jason Momoa in it, and there are people who would pay $20 to watch Jason Momoa drink milk without a shirt on. So, it may be a huge hit. I don't know. Um, and what else is in there? Oh, they're actually going to have the Blue Beetle movie happen. This is all the stuff that's coming prior to the stuff that Gunn announced yesterday. So we're going to have the Beetle movie is going to happen, and the Shazam movie is going to happen. And I'm hoping they don't mess with the Shazam franchise because it's fun. It's not. It's kind of like Black Adam. It was a serviceable superhero movie. It wasn't like it didn't blow me away, but it was fun, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed how they set up the world. I enjoyed the characters. And Shazam was the first Shazam movie was awesome. I really enjoyed it, and I like Zach Levy. I remember him, or is it Levi? I remember him from Chuck, it's an old TV show from a million years ago, and that was a great show. That was a lot of fun. So he's a good actor. He seems like a decent guy, and I hope they keep going with that with Shazam. But they're going to put out the second Shazam movie. They're going to put out the Blue Beetle movie, which stars the kid who plays Miguel in Cobra Kai. If you're a Cobra Kai fan, um, and I'm looking forward to that. And I hope it makes a bazillion dollars because Miguel seems like a really cool guy, good actor, and he can play a really decent. I think it's Robbie Reyes is the kid's name in the comics, who's the third Blue Beetle. Ted Cord was the second, and then Robbie is the third, and he actually has the Blue Beetle Scarab that gave him like powers and gave him like kind of magical armor. So I'm looking forward to that. There was at one point they were talking about that was just been like shit canned, that it was gone. So I'm really glad that they are actually going to put it out for a lot of reasons. I think that's just really cool. So those movies are happening. Um, then we have Creature Commandos. Then we have Amanda Waller. Then we have Superman Legacy. with a younger, starting his career Superman. We'll see how it goes. After that, we have a live action Green Lantern show called Lanterns. It's going to be a TV show. It's going to focus on John Stewart, cool Green Lantern. Interesting. John Stewart made this kind of evolution. The John Stewart from the 70s, when he first showed up in the Green Lantern comic, is a very different character from the John Stewart who showed up in the Green Lantern animated show that a lot of folks grew up with. And to be honest, I prefer the animated John Stewart, the former Marine turned superhero. But it'll be an interesting show. And they compared it to being almost like True Detective, which I really love. I love the first season of True Detective. If you have not watched it, I recommend you run out and go watch it right now because it's really, really good. Second season of True Detective, it's like an anthology show. So every season is kind of like a self-contained story. I think they're all set in the same universe though. Second season was it was not that great. It was okay. Third season was better, but still kind of eh. And fourth season is coming out, and I think Jodie Foster is playing the main character for fourth season, and I'm looking forward to that. So, but the Lantern show is supposed to be like a cop show. These two lanterns, Hal Jordan, John Stewart, are assigned to Earth. It's going to be mostly terrestrial based, at least initially, and together they're cops. So it's going to depend a lot on who they get to play the lanterns. It's going to depend a lot on who directs it, what kind of budget it's got. Because Green Lantern, they can pretty much do almost anything. So you need a decent budget for that. But I've always loved the Green Lantern characters, and especially John Stewart and Hal Jordan. So I'm excited to see what they do with that. After the Green Lantern show, excuse me, we've got this one. Actually, I'm very interested to see how they do this one. They're going to do an Authority movie, big budget Authority movie. The Authority were from Wildstorm Comics, which was eventually bought by DC, or it may have been an imprint of DC to begin with. I really can't remember, but I think it was. I think they bought it, and they've kind of kept that universe separate. It was one of their Infinite Earths at one point. But they're bringing the Authority into the main DC universe. If they haven't already done that in the comics, I really don't know. But I really love the Authority comic. Was big in the 90s, and it was pretty freaking cool. 90s into the 2000s, and I think that was a Warren Ellis book initially. I think he created it, but it has some really cool characters, really interesting takes on superheroes, trippy as hell. If you like Grant Morrison, if you like Warren Ellis, if you've read a bunch of the stuff Warren Ellis has written, you might enjoy Authority. So I'm looking forward to that one. I'm hoping that it will stay true to its source material. And I'm glad they're going to do it as a big budget movie because with the characters you've got in there, you need that. And some of the stuff that they ran into, you definitely need that. So after the Authority movie, we have a Supergirl movie based on The Woman of Tomorrow by, excuse me, a little vomit in my mouth there for a second. Tom King. Oh, there it is again. Oh, I'm so sorry. It must have been something I said. Tom King. Oh, okay. I'm good. Good. Tom King. Tom King. The man who decided to live through his midlife crisis by writing comic books about it and using well-loved, well-established characters as proxies for his sad, pathetic little life. I detest Tom King. It's really sad. There was a time when I actually remember liking some of his books, and I've read some stuff he's written, like one-shot things he's written that were actually pretty good. But and I was actually kind of excited about his Human Target series that he did recently. I was excited about his Adam Strange series until I actually read it. I detest Tom King. He is a plague. He's a plague upon comics, but he's got the name. He clearly has blackmail photos on multiple members of the editorial staff of DC Comics because he keeps getting work, even though he just trashes characters, and he got pulled off the Batman book far ahead of the 100 issues he was supposed to be on it because of all the damage he'd done to it and how the sales of it were going down. So now we're going to have a Supergirl movie, probably written by Tom King. Sorry. Based off the miniseries that he did. So, boy, I can wait. So we'll see how that goes. Then we get another one that I am really kind of intrigued by. Batman, the Brave and the Bold. This is going to be the Batman in the DC continuity. Robert Pattinson's The Batman, which is getting a sequel, will be consigned to Elseworlds. They're also doing that with like the Joker. They're doing the sequel to the Joker with Harley Quinn, with Lady Gaga playing Harley Quinn. Those kind of projects. Ta-Nehisi Coates' Superman is also in there. Ta-Nehisi Coates should not be allowed to touch nice things. This is Ta-Nehisi Coates and Tom King are why we can't have nice things. So, anyways, those are going to be consigned to Elseworlds. The main continuity Batman is going to be introduced in The Brave and the Bold. And what they're talking about is basing it at least partly on Grant Morrison's Batman run, which was one of my favorite Batman runs. And involved Batman and Son was the first arc, and then Batman R.I.P. was the second arc. And it involves at one point Dick Grayson, who is Nightwing, the original Robin, having to take over because Bruce Wayne has apparently died. And he takes as his Robin Damian Wayne, who is Bruce Wayne's son by Talia al Ghul, who is the daughter of Ra's al Ghul, and who they had this like torrid on again, off again love affair since the 70s. And there was a book, it was a graphic novel that involved, I believe it was called Son of the Demon, if I remember right. I had a copy of it long ago. I was in college. It was a long time ago. Yes, we had college back then. There was just less classes because they hadn't invented a lot of them yet. But it ended with Talia with a baby, and the baby was Bruce's. And then when Morrison started up his run on Batman, he reintroduced Damian as a young man. He wasn't a teenager yet. He was a tween who had been raised by his mother in the League of Assassins. So Damian Wayne is lethal. He is extremely dangerous, arrogant, and brilliant. But he's got some learning to do. And if they decide to go with Dick Grayson as Batman, if they start with the premise that the original Batman, Bruce Wayne, has died, and Dick Grayson has taken over, and he's raising Damian, and Damian is his partner, that was such a great story in the comics. And I got to be honest, I really loved Dick Grayson as Batman. Totally different Batman. Totally. I mean, Dick Grayson's personality is different than Bruce Wayne's, and he handled being Batman differently. And it was a great one. It was a great run. It would make a great movie if they don't fuck it up. Knock on some wood. After that, we've got a live action Booster Gold show. And Booster Gold is freaking awesome. He is a character. He was started out, Dan Jurgens created him back in the late 80s, if I remember right. He was part of the Justice League in the 80s that was oh my God, I can't remember anything today. The guy who wrote a lot of Legion of Superhero for a long time. Fam, help me out. Give me his name in the comments. But anyways, Booster Gold was kind of like comic relief in the Justice League, along with their Blue Beetle. And a show based on him could be a lot of fun. He's a kind of a fan favorite. There's a lot of folks who like him because he's sort of not your typical hero. Back in when he was first created, he actually was getting corporate endorsements, and he had a lot of corporate patches all over his uniform and stuff. And this was like decades, light years um, before the boys came along or any of that stuff. So a Booster Gold TV show could be really interesting. Again, it depends a lot on how they do it and who's doing it. Then he finished up with a Swamp Thing movie, a horror movie based on Swamp Thing. He didn't give a lot of details. He also kind of danced around the fact that it may not be part of the main DC continuity. I was thinking if they were to adapt Alan Moore's run on Swamp Thing as a series of Swamp Thing movies, that would be absolutely amazing. That run is where John Constantine came from. That was the first time Constantine ever appeared. He appeared as a kind of a mystery guy foil for Swamp Thing during Alan Moore's run on it. And those are some amazing stories. Do yourself a favor, even if you're not a big comic book fan, you can find them as treasuries, as graphic novels. Find the Alan Moore Swamp Things and read them. They are really, really, really good. And they are. I would put them up there with Gaiman's Sandman. I actually think I enjoyed the Swamp Thing stories more than some of the Sandman stories, but it's the same kind of feel to it. Um, and they are horror comics. They are scary and bizarre, and I think they would be amazing material for. That is one thing that does encourage me in this. Is it looks like Gunn is tapping into some of the vast decades of material DC Comics has. All these great stories, all these great story arcs. Um, Marvel could learn from that because what Marvel is doing is cherry picking. They're bringing Adam Warlock in to Guardians of the Galaxy 3 when they should have brought him in back when they were doing the whole Thanos Infinity Gauntlet thing, because Adam Warlock, I'm having a stroke right here on camera. Adam Warlock had the Soul Stone, the Affinity Stone, the Soul Stone was on his forehead for a good deal of his initial comic book run, and his archenemy in his comic book was Thanos. So they should have brought him in then, but they're not. They brought him in. They mentioned him in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, and now he's showing up in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. And I'm not really. We'll see. I mean, I've liked the last two Guardians movies. I like the first one more than the second one, but the second one was still pretty good. So we'll see. But that is the initial slate of stuff. Gunn went out of his way to basically say that this isn't everything. This is just what we're telling you right now. Also, remember this stuff is stretching out over 8 to 10 years of production time. That's what they're talking about, and a lot can change. For example, if one of these movies gets popular, they're going to do 3 or 4 sequels for that movie. They're going to push other stuff back. They're going to reallocate resources. So, if like Blue Beetle is a huge hit, they're going to go on and do a Blue Beetle 2. If Shazam 2 knocks it out of the park, they're going to put some money in and fast track a Shazam 3. Maybe they can placate The Rock by having him and Shazam go at it. That would be pretty awesome. That's actually, Black Adam. It was kind of weird to do a Black Adam movie anyway, because I know it was what The Rock wanted, but it didn't make a whole hell of a lot of sense because most normies have no fucking clue. Most comic book people have no fucking clue who Black Adam is, to any great degree. They have put him in and out of the books, since he showed up in the 50s. I believe in the 50s with the Shazam book, maybe the 40s. But he was an enemy for Shazam, for Captain Marvel. And well, now he's Shazam. He used to be Captain Marvel. So they could have, if the Shazam franchise keeps going, they could always bring him in as a baddie, pay him a ridiculous amount of money, and stroke his ego some. But Anywho, that is pretty much what I wanted to share with you. The Elseworlds projects include stuff like I said, the Joker sequel, the Batman sequel, the Ta-Nehisi Coates Black Superman project. Which, look, I've got to tell you, the idea of that is intriguing. Ta-Nehisi Coates is not intriguing. Ta-Nehisi Coates guarantees that it is going to be cringy as hell. If you read his Black Panther, if you read his Captain America, you know exactly what you can expect. Enjoy. Um, I'll just wait for the racist comments, at your leisure. But bottom line is, I'm interested in that as a project. I would be more interested in it if it was being written by someone who had any care or respect for the source material, but he doesn't. He's going to use it as a platform, and I'm kind of sick of my entertainment being used as a jumping off point for political bullshit. I just want to be entertained. I just want comic book movies, you know, just a comic book movie. I just want superheroes, supervillains, a little morality play, some cool effects, and I want to be able to like recognize the character and go, oh yeah, yeah, he really played that character like the mythological character that has existed since the 1930s, instead of, oh, who is this guy in a Superman suit? So maybe he will surprise me. Maybe Ta-Nehisi Coates will completely and totally just be like, screw you, Rod. And I'll be like, damn, that was a good movie. Holy shit. I hope I'm wrong. I really do. I want to be entertained. I would like to be able to get on here and say, oh, I'm really psyched for this movie. It's just they've beaten me down. They have beaten me the hell down. If there's a way to screw up shit that you didn't think they could screw up, they will find a way. It's their superpower. So that those projects and many, many more are being pushed into the Elseworlds brand, much like they're kind of done with Star Wars. They have the mainstream, kind of the main continuity, and then you have Legends, which they cherry pick stuff out of Legends, which is again unfortunate because there's so much good stuff there. You know, there's a reason these IPs have existed for so long, and it's not like what they've been doing for the last 10, 20 years. They existed this long because they were written by people who loved the characters when they were growing up as kids and who wanted to add to that mythology. When I got to write the Men in Black book for Titan, I got to actually add a few little things to the MIB universe, and that made me feel so happy because when you're writing other people's characters, I really believe that you should not say like, oh, I can just do whatever the hell I want. I'm the writer. I can do it. Well, of course you're the writer, and yes, you can do whatever you want. But maybe you could be a little appreciative of what came before you. Maybe you could be a little appreciative of the people whose imagination created these characters that are so iconic. Maybe you could remember some of the stories that you maybe you read as a kid. Like I said, a lot of these folks, I don't think they really give a shit about these characters. So I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that James Gunn is the real deal. That he's not just putting on a little Hollywood show uh, to try to woo back the people like me that got really pissed off when he fired Henry Cavill and Gal Gadot, and then found out he wasn't going to fire everybody. He was just going to fire the ones he kind of cherry picked. Oh, I left out something. Speaking of Gal Gadot, um, there's also, and I couldn't find the name of the show, but they're also going to do a show set on Themyscira, on Wonder Woman's birthplace, the island of the Amazons, that they are comparing to kind of like a Game of Thrones show on Themyscira. And again, that's really that sounds more like an idea that got spitballed and put on a 3x5 card and stuck up on a wall. That's a big question mark. I mean, it could be awesome. I mean, it could be like House of the Dragon. It could be like, wow, this is really freaking cool and good. Or it could be garbage. Or it could never happen. But that's what DC has on the horizon. Do you trust James Gunn? Does any of that sound interesting to you? What kind of stuff would you like to see in DC movies? What kind of characters? What kind of stories? If you're a comic book person, maybe you could tell me if there's a story arc or something that you think they should, make into a TV show or make into a movie. I want to hear from you. Yes, you. Um, Thanks for watching this long. Please like the video. If you have not joined the channel, please sign up for the channel. Click on that little bell so I can annoy you with notifications about when I do videos like this. Please share the video if you think it's of any value. And please help me grow this channel. I'd really love to keep doing that. Anyways, guys, thank you so much. You are the tops. You're the Mona Lisa. You're the tops. You're the Tower of Pisa. Now I'm hungry. All right, guys, take care, and I'll see you on the next video.